Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Birds hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. We did it.
We did it.
Good morning and welcome to this virtual Sunday service of West Hills Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, affectionately known as WHUUF. Now that it's officially summer, our minister, the Reverend Tracy Springbury, is away, and you may notice that our time together is a little shorter. My name is George Taylor. I use the pronouns he and him, and it is my honor to serve as your lay leader this morning. These days, our congregation is not confined by physical walls, but as always, we are connected through a web of life that embraces all. Whoever and wherever you are at this moment, know that you are welcome here, no matter your age, your abilities, the color of your skin, the pronouns you use. No matter whom you love or the language you speak, the spiritual beliefs you have held or flags you have flown. Whether you come with an abundance of joy or a broken heart, we welcome you to this place of sanctuary and tolerance. Outside this sanctuary, there is fear, injustice, and uncertainty. A pandemic surges. People die needlessly. Protests fill the streets. Eyes, once blind, are finally opened, and a growing chorus shouts out that all lives won't matter until Black lives matter. Here in this place, we keep the fire of hope alive, hope for wisdom, for tolerance, for understanding, for justice, for love. These are the lifeblood of our Unitarian Universalist belief. Today I light a chalice as a reminder of these values and as a guide through present darkness to hope and change. Please join me in stating our opening affirmation. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to learn what is true. Let us open our hearts to love one another. Our reading today is from Declaration of Interdependence by Richard Blanco, the opening poem of his collection, How to Love a Country. We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We are the dead. We're the living amid the flicker of vigil candlelight. We're in a dim cell with an inmate reading Dostoevsky. We're his crime, his sentence, his amends. We're the mending of ourselves and others. We're a Buddhist serving soup at a shelter alongside a stockbroker. We're each other's shelter and hope, a widow's 50 cents in a collection plate and a golfer's $10,000 pledge for a cure. We hold these truths to be self-evident. We're the cure for the hatred caused by despair. We're the good morning of a bus driver who remembers our name, the tattooed man who gives up his seat on the subway, where every door held open with a smile when we look into each other's eyes the way we behold the moon. We're the moon. We're the promise of one people, one breath declaring to one another, I see you, I need you, I am you.
Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my songs. Butcher, the baker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in.
But sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then it makes no difference what group I'm in. 'Cause I am everyday people.
There is a blue one that can't accept the green one, for living with the fat one, trying to be a skinny one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. And Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo, sha-sha. We gotta live together.
I am no better, and neither are you. We are the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me and then still can't figure out the thing I'm in.
I am everyday people.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a long head that doesn't like the short hair, for being such a rich one that will not help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. And Scooby-Dooby-Doo, sha-sha. We gotta live together. There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. And Scooby-Dooby-Doo, sha-sha. I am everyday people.
Good morning. My name is Sulima Malzin, pronouns she and her, and I am so grateful to have this opportunity to be considering the subject of interdependence and collective liberation with other members of our WHUUF community, Brad Huit, Spencer Erhman, Liz Hart, and Jean Trygstad. We have each chosen quotes from famous sources that embrace not only the words from Richard Blanco's poem, Declaration of Interdependence, that we heard earlier, words like, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor, like we're each other's shelter and hope, and we're the promise of one people, one breath, declaring to one another, I see you, I need you, I am you. But also words from protest signs and murals like, all lives won't matter until Black lives matter, and none of us is free until all of us are free. These are words worth pondering, and there are lots more where those came from. Today, we'll hear inspiration from words carved into the Statue of Liberty, from the Lebanese poet and author of The Prophet, Khalil Gibran, from the Vietnamese-born Zen master and peace activist Thich Nhat Hanh, and from America's own comedic philosopher George Carlin. As for me, having learned early in life to grow where you're planted, I naturally think first about our own fellowship here at WHUUF and how it is that our practice of shared ministry feeds us all, especially during complex and difficult times. It reminds me of the old story about the difference between heaven and hell, where upon entering hell's dining room, the first thing you see are long tables of emaciated, starving, silent people trying desperately to figure out, excuse me, how to feed themselves with long-handled spoons that don't allow the food to reach their mouths. On the other hand, when you walk into heaven's dining room, you are greeted by a room full of noisy, cheerful, robust folks reaching across the tables to feed each other. But for me, it's hymn number 311 in our gray hymnal that always comes to me first when I think about my own interdependence and how we are each other's shelter and hope. Especially these words: learn to follow, learn to lead, feel the rhythm, feel the need, to reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Shall we?
I'd like to read first the poem The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Some of you, if you've not heard it before, may recognize some of the words at the end. This was written for dedication of the Statue of Liberty, and I believe I need to read up more about it. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere, I think, on the statue. The New Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. What struck me when I heard that first was the stark contrast of what I think America over time has turned into. That clearly is talking about Greece and rejecting the Greek ideas of gods and superiority and how that was structured. And the more you read on in the poem, it talks so much about instead taking the people who don't have homes anywhere else, who are the refuse that no one else wants, and offering them a place to kind of start over. And it talks about ancient lands and storied pomp and those things that are traditional and from the past. And it says, hey, we're going to build a new future. And that was very much the case, I think, when Ellis Island was first opened, and it was just a huge gateway for people to come in. Many of my ancestors, I think, were part of that. And they weren't evaluated based on what they brought to the country as part of that wave of immigrants for those years, at least to my knowledge. Whereas now, for people to come in with green cards or apply for visas or citizenship, they have to show and prove what they're going to offer. So we've turned away from that place that looks out to who we can offer this place to, and instead ask what they can offer us. So it's a big change for me. And so when I hear patriotism, I really, and the idea of celebrating patriotism, as I get older, I increasingly struggle with that idea more and more and more, because for me, it's not this older idea that did exist at one point, maybe still is around in theory, but hasn't really turned out to be the way America has evolved and changed. And so how do we step into a place where we can resemble some of this? And I think some of the values of Unitarian Universalism certainly hold closer to this idea of what America can be and what the world can be and what our societies can be than what we've turned into. So, as a veteran, as someone who is proud of my country historically, I struggle sometimes, and that just doesn't have to do with the current administration. I think we as a society have moved further away from that idea. So I don't want to make it just a political distinction. And so what can I do as an individual to look at some of these things, the ideas in here, the values, and live them every day as much as I can, and in ways that maybe nobody ever knows about. That's the most important part, I think, in a lot of ways, and how our values show up. Not anything public, not anything we're demonstrating. How can we live every day to promote our best values for a just culture, equality, fairness, those sorts of things that clearly were part of this poem, and part of looking at how it could serve and offer others a place of refuge, and a place to actually start over and to support them and to have this lamp lit for them to find their way. I think for me that is something that I want to bring to patriotism more and turn into what patriotism is. Not a particular flag of whatever country or a stripe, but just a common human purpose and value to everyone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Liz Hart, and the quote I chose today is from George Carlin. He was a comedian. He had a lot of criticisms about America and the way that politics are run. And he criticized people, liberals and conservatives. But he brought a lot of humor to his criticisms. The quote is, "The thing about the American dream is that to believe it, you have to be asleep." And I like this quote because I think for a long time there's been this sort of unrest in younger generations about the loss of the American dream. But it's maybe just a perception that the American dream is changing or has changed or is unattainable. I think, though, from my perspective, what the American dream really is not working a full-time job and owning a house and having kids. That's a very capitalist, heteronormative agenda that a lot of people don't even want, including immigrants who come here. What I think the American dream is this empowerment in each individual to change for the better systems that are no longer serving us. That we are given the freedom and the leeway to challenge our freedoms, to challenge our leaders, and to continue to try and make things better for other people. It's hard to see that sometimes when we have a pandemic going on, when we know that we live on stolen land, when we know that we aren't seeing results of the dismantling of the patriarchy or systemic racism. But if there's one thing that Americans are really good at, it is persisting. It is continuing on, leaving a legacy, and understanding that this is an experiment. This is a 300-year experiment, and maybe we fail at it. Maybe we are failing. Maybe we already have. That is nothing to be ashamed of. As a scientist, I know that failed experiments are just opportunities to learn. And that is the American dream. And George Carlin, his quote, it just resonates with me because it's true. When we talk about the definition or previous definitions of what the American dream is, there's a lot of people who think you would be delusional to believe in it. But what if we believed in it and the definition was what we made it?
Good morning. I'm Spencer Erhman. This is a reading from The Prophet by Khalil Gibran on friendship. And a youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." And he answered, saying, "Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field, which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving, and he is your board and your fireside. For you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the I. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. For without words, in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared with joy that is unclaimed. When you part from your friend, you grieve not, for that which you love most in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. And let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know its flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek him with hours to kill? Seek him always with hours to live. For it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. In these days, it has been important to me to create community, to renew friendships that I've had, and to work in collaboration with those that I know and love. These days of isolation can be difficult, but knowing that there is community and friendship is what keeps me and perhaps all of us going forward.
Hello. For today's service, I have selected this reading from Thich Nhat Hanh. I find it to be both simple and profound, and it led me to deeper thoughts about my hopes and concerns for the oppressed, both humans and the living earth that sustains us all. If you are a poet, you will see clearly that there is a cloud floating in this sheet of paper. Without the cloud, there would be no rain, and without the rain, the trees cannot grow, and without the trees, we cannot make paper. The cloud is essential for the paper to exist. If the cloud is not here, the sheet of paper cannot be here either. So we can say that the cloud and paper are. Interbeing is a word that's not in the dictionary. But if we combine the prefix inner with the verb to be, we have a new verb, interbe. If we look at this sheet of paper even more carefully, we can see that it has sunshine in it. If the sunshine is not there, the forest cannot grow. In fact, nothing can grow. Even we cannot grow without sunshine. And so we know that the sunshine is here in this sheet of paper. The paper and the sunshine are. If we continue to look, we can see the logger who cut the tree and brought it to the mill to be transformed to paper. And we can see the wheat. The logger cannot exist without his daily bread, and therefore the wheat that became his bread is also in this sheet of paper. And the logger's father and mother are here too. When we look at it in this way, we see that without all these things, the paper cannot exist. Looking even more deeply, we can see that we are in it too. This is not difficult to see because when we look at the sheet of paper, it is part of our perception. You are in this sheet of paper. Your mind is here, and so is mine. And so we can say that everything is here in this sheet of paper. You cannot point out one thing that is not here. Time, space, the earth, the rain, the heat, it's all here. Everything coexists within the sheet of paper. And so, to be is to interbe. And that's why I think interbe should be in the dictionary. So I think that this reading can be used as a starting point for a discussion on the inheritance of white privilege and what individual actions that we can take to change at the individual level. It also could be a gateway to a discussion of the natural world that sustains us and that is suffering from human interactions. I thank you for listening and look forward to talking again.
I invite you now to bring to mind or speak openly the names of those you wish to remember during this moment of shared intention through silence, prayer, meditation, or reflection, as may be your choice. As we prepare to gratefully give and receive our offering, please watch the screen for instructions on how you may offer financial support during this time. For other gifts or to become more involved in our community, you may join the discussion online and contact us via email, web, or phone. We are grateful for the original peoples who stewarded this land long before we claimed it as ours. And we remember that it was love that built the fires we are warmed by today, and love that planted the trees that shade us. WHUUF exists because of the generous spirit and commitment of those who came before us, as our future health depends on the dedication and commitment of those here now. This is our final month of donate the basket to the Northwest Classical Theater Collaborative. These are the folks who bring live theater into unlikely venues like prisons and homeless shelters, practicing our first UU principle of recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of all people. You can learn more about them via the link in your order of service. Let us speak together our affirmation of gratitude and giving. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others. As we extinguish the flame of our chalice this morning, let us, in the words of the poet Billy Collins, promise to shine long after we have left this place, some firebrands, some famous flames, others night lights there to show others the way, but everyone daughters and sons illuminated from within. These promises we will carry with us until we meet again.
Carry the flame of peace and love until